So a few years back, I had asked my husband for a divorce because his snoring was so bad. And I'm not talking about a marital divorce. I am referring to a sleep divorce. And you know what? Since getting divorced when it comes to our sleep, it has actually improved our relationship tenfold. So, flashback to a few years ago, my husband would wake me up every night around that dreaded 3 o'clock in the morning time period because his snoring was so loud. I'm talking freight train loud. And he sleeps so soundly that no matter how much I elbowed him, kicked him, pulled his little hairs on his beard, he would not wake up. So unfortunately, he left me no choice but to ask for a sleep divorce. And you know what? It actually probably saved our marriage. And as it goes without saying, I am exaggerating, folks. We were not on the verge of getting an actual divorce. However, the fact that his snoring was causing me multiple wake-ups per night, it was definitely adversely impacting our relationship. I was super crabby as a result. I highly value my sleep as a sleep coach, and I'm also a former insomniac. So I was really nervous that my interrupted sleep was going to turn into something bigger, another bout of insomnia, if I didn't nip it in the bud soon. I'm happy to report, since our sleep divorce, I no longer want to punch him in the throat in the morning for interrupting my sleep, and we are back to marital bliss. So if you are like 30% of Americans who were recently surveyed by a mattress company who reported that you are interested in a sleep divorce, today I want to talk to you a little bit about number one, why sleeping with your partner can negatively impact your sleep. 2, signs that you should consider a sleep divorce. And 3, how to successfully carry out your new sleeping arrangements. Let's start out by talking about why sleeping with a partner can be so disruptive. If you watch my sleep sanctuary video, you know that the best sleep environment is dark, cool, and quiet. As humans, we are very sensitive to any changes in our environment while we sleep. It makes sense. It's a protective mechanism. Think back to the caveman days. It was probably pretty dangerous for us to be sleeping outside. So as a result, when we're in between sleep cycles, we have little tiny wake-ups. And it is hypothesized that the reason why we have these brief wake-ups is to do an environmental scan to make sure that our environment matches what it did at bedtime. Also, when we are in stage 1 and stage 2 of non-REM sleep, our brain is still a little active and we are aware of external stimulus. So as a result, if your partner is making noises because they're snoring like mine, or because they decided to get into bed later than you, or wake up for a midnight snack, actually my husband did all of the above, or if they toss and turn, if they have restless leg syndrome, if they wake up because they have insomnia, you are going to be sensitive to those changes. Now, some people are able to just elbow their spouse or partner and fall back to sleep easily, but people like me who struggle to sleep in the first place, it's not so simple. And then as a result, it can take a while to fall back to sleep, and then you miss out on your much needed sleep. Research shows that adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And let's face it, we're busy. Most of us are probably going to bed and waking up and allowing ourselves at the most 8 hours a night. So every minute of sleep really does count, especially considering when we're sleeping in cycles. We're going from light sleep to deep sleep. And every cycle has its own purpose. So if you're woken up in the middle of the night, what happens is when you fall back to sleep, you start a new cycle all over again. As a result, you're likely not completing every iteration of each stage of sleep that you need overnight to feel and be your best. And as I'm sure you know, because you're watching this and you value sleep as much as I do, not getting enough sleep can definitely impact your mood, your productivity, and can lead to some serious long-term health conditions like dementia, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity. And if you're somebody who struggles with getting enough sleep, I don't need to tell you how cranky you are the day after a bad night. And that is because as humans, it's not natural for us to be sleep deprived. And our nervous system views this as a stressor. Our nervous system thinks that there's a threat, so it goes into the sympathetic mode, also known as fight or flight. And as a result, our amygdala, which is the portion of the brain that regulates the fear response, goes into overdrive so that any little tiny stressor is then perceived as a big deal and we have a strong reaction. And as it goes without saying, if your partner is partially to blame for your sleepless nights, you're going to start to feel resentful. Furthermore, research out of the University of Michigan shows that couples report fighting more after a poor night of sleep. And they said that they were less likely to resolve a conflict when they didn't have enough Z's. So I know it can be really scary to have this conversation with your partner because in our society, we view sleeping in separate beds or separate rooms as a sign that there's something wrong with the relationship. And so then it makes sense that you are going to be worried that your partner is going to view your request as a sign that you're unsatisfied. So what I want to do is give you some advice on how to broach the conversation, as well as how to successfully carry out a bed divorce so that you can maintain a strong, healthy bond and a spark in the relationship to boot. So the first step is you want to sit down with your partner and have an honest, open, and respectful conversation about your wishes. Now, I'm not a relationship expert. However, whenever I'm approaching a more difficult conversation with my husband, I like to use what I call the old sandwich technique, where I start out with something positive, then I have the difficult conversation, and then I end on a positive note. I'm sandwiching the difficult piece of the conversation. So, for example, what I would say in this situation is that I would start out by explaining why I love sleeping with him, that I like the closeness, I love to cuddle, I like the fact that he's near, it makes me feel secure. And then I would move into breaking the not so pleasant news that since I have been struggling with sleeping through the night, due to hearing snoring at 3 o'clock in the morning, I am then very cranky the next day. I'm having a hard time maintaining my patience with the kids, with you, and I want to give sleeping in a separate room a try. Now, I want to point out two things about what I just said. So when I was broaching this more difficult piece of the conversation, I never used the word you. I used we and I. And then I posed the separate sleeping arrangements as just sleeping in separate rooms. I didn't use the word bed divorce. Divorce has a pejorative context to it, so I would avoid that word at all costs. Also, you probably noticed that I proposed a trial. Now, this is something that you don't have to commit to. You can always give it a try for a couple nights. Maybe try it for a few nights during the week and then sleep together over the weekend and see if maybe you just want to sleep separately during the work week and reconvene on Saturday and Sunday. And it will give you data that you need to make a more long-term decision. You may find that your partner actually sleeps better separately from you too. Research shows that although couples report sleeping better together, that in laboratory analysis, they find that couples always sleep best apart. All right, secondly, one of the most important things that you need to do if you decide to sleep in separate beds is to make sure that you're scheduling time every day to connect. That could be either before you go to bed, cuddling on the couch, watching TV, or maybe in the morning over coffee. So I hope that this video has made you realize that a bed divorce doesn't have to be such a scary thing. In fact, it can really do wonders for your relationship. If you decide to give a bed divorce a try, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you discovered, if you found that you're sleeping better, and if it improved your relationship like it did mine.